This video will most probably resonate with those who have Bell's palsy right now or who are going through a similar experience. But again, I think this could be a very useful video for anyone who's dealing with stress or wants to like gain some knowledge as to how they can better manage stressful situations in their lives, so that they don't have to experience a chronic illness to kind of realize that they're struggling to manage their stress. Okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, first of all, we're outside. I've been cooping you up in one too many videos, and I kind of wanted to give you guys some fresh air. I also needed some vitamin D, so yeah, hopefully you enjoy the little bird sounds and whatnot. Hello everyone, hello, welcome back to my channel if you are a returning subscriber, and welcome to my channel if you're new here. Yeah, as always, it's so lovely to have you here. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. That really helps the channel out. It also really inspires me and prompts me to create more videos for you guys, which I have been loving recently. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about a topic that is very like near and dear to my heart. I've been wanting to make a video about this. I was just kind of like waiting for the right time, and yeah, I feel quite like confident enough to like speak on this topic and my experience and just be helpful. So in simple terms, today we're going to be talking about stress, what it is, how it can manifest in one's life, and hopefully through my experience I'll be able to share quite a bit of like advice, tips and tricks as to how one can deal with managing high levels of stress in their life. I'm by no means a medical professional, but my hope is that through my own personal experience I'm able to, you know, help someone in any way. Almost, it's like coming to almost a year. In November it will be a year since I contracted Bell's palsy, which I did last year. I don't know if contracted is the right term, but I had Bell's palsy. I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy. If you don't know, Bell's palsy is essentially a form of like facial paralysis. I think it's also called idiopathic facial paralysis or idiopathic paralysis, but essentially it's when the 7th cranial nerve in your face gets like infected and causes like the one side of your face to, like the muscle in your face to come like to be completely paralyzed. So that happened to me and that was not fun. And well, when I went to go have like a diagnosis to see what caused the Bell's palsy, there wasn't necessarily anything that they could find. For some people, they get Bell's palsy due to having, I saw like diabetes, like a virus can also cause like Bell's palsy, a virus that maybe like infects that 7th cranial nerve. But yeah, when I was doing blood tests and stuff, there was nothing. So the cause of it was said to be stress. So for me, that was like kind of like a rude awakening in my life to kind of not only realize how much stress played a role in my life and how I was like lacking in skills and knowledge in managing it, but I think it really did set me up. Or it was like an experience that I'm not like happy that I went through that. It was kind of traumatic, to be quite honest, but and I don't wish it upon anyone, but I think the lessons I learned during that time and just what I'd gone through really made me learn and realize the stressful things that were in my life, what I had to kind of like cut out, and things that I also had to like implement in my life now and make a part of my daily habits or introduce into my lifestyle. So it was very eye-opening. That whole experience was very eye-opening, and so yeah, that's what I kind of like hope for today, is that I can kind of bestow some wisdom and knowledge for you. Yeah, let's get into it. Stress can be a physical, psychological form of pain and pressure, you know, like if you just think about when you have like knots or like a very tight back, or you feel like stress in your neck, it's very like tense and there's quite a bit of pain and pressure on your muscles and your body. And I think the same goes, the same is true for like psychological stress, and that can like manifest in forms of like headaches or like tension headaches and stuff like that. And small amounts of stress is actually quite beneficial for you. I think it pumps adrenaline in your body and everything like that, so it gets you going. Small amounts of stress is not a bad thing. The problem is chronic stress, right, that we as a society are like so desensitized to, or so used to experiencing. We see that individuals are exposed to chronic amounts of stress, you know, in our daily lives, in our daily tasks, in our commitments. For the average person, stress is very much an omnipresent thing in our day-to-day lives. But when we start veering into the chronic and extreme stress side of things, that's when chaos can unfold. You know, that's when having lots of stress in your body, I think that also like messes with your whole immune system, pumping lots of cortisol in your body. And so I think that then creates a sort of like physical illness or disease. For me, I think as well, like on sort of like a spiritual note, it is kind of like hard to kind of articulate, but and it is quite like controversial to say that like we as people like manifest our own illnesses, and that illnesses are manifested through our brain and through our psychology. I am a big believer in that because I've personally have experienced that. I don't think it's always true, but I do think there is a bit of a correlation with, you know, just your mental state and the amounts of stress that's in your body, and that like weakening your body to kind of like contract specific diseases. Also just like spiritually, I also think that there are, you know, like there's the physical body, there's the emotional body, and there's like the spiritual body, you know. And I think that when there are problems in those other levels, you know, like for in my instance, during the time that I got Bell's palsy, I was struggling a lot with my emotional health, and a lot of like spiritual things as well. Like I felt quite like stuck in my life and very like trapped and a bit confused. I recommend watching Leeor Alexandra's video, where she also explained her whole experience with Bell's palsy. And for me, I really resonated with that video because she spoke of feeling very like stuck in her life and very like just like emotionally stuck in her life, and she kept like saying that and speaking that into existence and not necessarily dealing with it, just kind of like feeling it and sitting in that feeling. And she explains how like that kind of like, if that's happening in like your ethereal, your spiritual body, that can kind of like stagnate there. That energy, that life force kind of like gets stuck, and it kind of like filters down and manifests in your physical body. And for me, literally, that was my face literally being stuck, you know. And there was just a whole bunch of symptoms as well that kind of related to this feeling of being stuck and just disconnected with myself in general. And certainly as I was like going through the process and going through the healing journey and like dealing with these specific emotions, I did kind of like feel myself kind of like free up a little bit. And when I was completely healed, I had gone through quite a huge transformation in my physical appearance, in my attitude. I had new goals, I had new ambitions, I had new perspectives, and I was kind of like having conversations about my life and things I was realizing about myself that I was kind of like keeping hidden and like holding within myself. And yeah, whether or not that contributed towards me healing, I definitely think it's not just all emotional and like heady and esoteric. I do think there's there's a relationship between the physical and the mental side of it, but we'll get into all of that. Yeah, so I guess that kind of like explains my belief in all of this, is that Yeah, sure. I probably would have just like healed physically if I just like taken the medication, but I do think it was, you know, the allopathic, the medical side of things, the medical approach. I also dabbled with a homeopathic approach, which I think those two together like really sped up my healing process, you know, or it felt like it sped up my healing process, or at the very least it romanticized the healing process and made it more easier to kind of like go through. And I think that as well, it makes me feel like if I ever were to have it again, I don't fear anything, you know, because of all the lessons that I'd learned. Because it can come back, which is kind of like a scary thing to realize. But it kind of also just makes me think like, oh, you can't just, there's no quick fix, you know, there is no essentially a pill to kind of like take and it just like goes away. Like with most things, it's like the illness, you know, it's like the symptom of a larger issue. And for me at least, I think my issue was on a more deeper level than just an infected nerve. I genuinely felt like there was a lot in my life that was sick, that, you know, needed attention, and it called for me to really go inwards and heal from the inside out, essentially. So if that resonates with you, please carry on watching. So how did I get Bell's palsy? So like I said, my running theory, or the predominant theory, is because there was no other like virus that was found, was that stress, chronic stress, and not being able to deal with that chronic stress is how this whole thing manifested. I was like diagnosed and like went to the hospital and all of that stuff in November. And 2 months prior, I had gone through a breakup. I was experiencing a breakup, and I think I was still like trying to process all of that stuff. I was really struggling, just because it was like I mean, if you've been through a breakup, you know, it is kind of like tough and to kind of like process and deal with. And I definitely had like external support from family and friends and all of that stuff. I think it was just me, myself, and I was like kind of struggling to process it, and that was taking up a lot of emotional and mental bandwidth, and I lost a lot of sleep over it. Secondly, so I'm currently on leave of absence, but I'm studying at the University of Cape Town, and during that time it was exam season, and if you're anything like me, you're literally either going to fight, flight, or freeze mode, or internal destruction mode when it's exam seasons. And for me, it's always just been a really stressful time for me. So whenever it's exam time, I honestly freak the fuck out from the inside out. So there was that was going on. And then physically, so that was like a lot of like the mental stuff, right? And then like physically, I was lacking a lot of sleep. Again, I think this was now starting to become like a ripple effect, like the way in which like my mental health was now impacting my physical health. But I was losing a lot of sleep, I was losing a lot of weight, unintentionally. I don't know if it was the mental stress, but I also started to become more physically active, so I think my body was just kind of like a little bit in like shock. And I also had wisdom teeth that were kind of getting ready to come out, so all of that was just kind of like the perfect stew for chronic stress and for the chronic illness to kind of like manifest in my body. And in all honesty, like I thought at the time that I was like kind of in a good headspace when it came to school and my academics and managing my stress and exam season and all of that stuff. But I think after years of like being so highly like stressed and tense when it came to exam season. You didn't even have to tell me it was exam season, but my body would just go into this like PTSD sort of like fight or flight mode, you know, even though consciously I was okay. But again, because I'm looking at all the other factors in my life, you know, going through the breakup and all of that stuff, I do think I was kind of shut down to my emotions at that time. Essentially, like I started, this was like kind of like the week of, right? So I started like experiencing like tongue numbness and like shooting pain in like my jaw, both sides though. So that made me believe or like start to think that, oh, my wisdom teeth are coming. And this wasn't really out of nowhere. Like my dentist had told me since I was like for 3 years now that my wisdom teeth are soon to be coming out, or they're ready to come out. And so I thought it was that, and I was kind of just like, oh, okay, like I can just like bear with it and, you know, keep it moving. But I started to like explain the pain of my wisdom teeth to friends and stuff, and they were just kind of like, girl, that doesn't I don't know about you, but that didn't really happen to me, you know, is what they were saying. And yeah, so I was kind of just like, okay, that's kind of weird that wisdom teeth like coming through can cause a bit of discomfort, but I was starting to experience like shooting pain, and this started to impact my sleep even more because I couldn't like sleep on this side of my face anymore. I also started to struggle with chewing. I couldn't chew anything that was like specifically hard, and yeah, like just the shooting pain was just starting to increase. And I mean, at that point now I was taking like an Advil, I don't know what they're called, yeah, like an Advil multiple times a day, and I was like, okay, this is not good. And then at that point I was already like starting to book appointments or like consult with like, yeah, just like at least book appointments with doctors and stuff, so just so I could just like kind of get it all checked out. And then my lips went numb, like my like this, it started to like tingle and it started to get like really numb. And I didn't realize it then, but my eye was also starting to like droop a little bit. It just started like watering quite a bit, and I was just like, oh no. So I freaked out, called my dad, and then I went into the emergency unit, and essentially didn't really like know what was going on. I think it was also just like too early. I think my Bell's palsy had started, and the full expression of Bell's palsy, or like your facial paralysis, happens like after 48 hours. So they said like I had like trigeminal neuralgia, which is a whole nother thing, but essentially they thought that it was my wisdom teeth which were impacting on my like my facial nerves or muscles or whatever, and that's what was causing like the pain and all of that stuff. And so they gave me some medication. I don't necessarily know what, but they gave me medication, and because I was still like running on this whole wisdom tooth kind of thing, wisdom teeth removal thing, I started booking an appointment with my dentist, so that I could like get these holes removed out. And you guys, so UCT is obviously in Cape Town, and I'm from Joburg. We're in Joburg right now. I was like sending photos and communicating with my mom, and she had sent the video of my face and everything to my dentist to be like, is this normal, you know? And he was just like, yeah, this is not I don't think this is a wisdom teeth. This is not usually what happens, kind of saying like what my friends were saying. And he said, you know what, like I'm just gonna like refer you to a facial specialist, because I think she might have Bell's palsy, but I don't know. But I will refer, you know, I will refer you to a mandible, jaw, face specialist. And so I ended up having to fly back home, defer my exams, all of that stuff. That alone was just like, it just like put like times 2 speed on the stress. You know, I had to move out of my place, I had to, you know, sort all the paperwork out for school as well. Traveling from there to here is also just like a stress in general, packing, all of that stuff. And again as well, like I think I was still going through like insecurities within my breakup, you know. I was still like very much dealing with that, and yeah, it was a lot. So came here, and by now my face has like begun to like completely droop. Like it was starting to be hard to talk. My face like was getting increasingly worse by the day. Honestly, I can't remember a lot of like the minute details. I don't know, like for me, I just remember this like all happening within 1 week. Apparently stress also like knocks out your neural circulatory whatever, and it like fucks with your hippocampus, so hence my memory is a little bit shot from that time. But yes, came back home, went to the mandible jaw face specialist. They took my x-ray, and they could see like, okay, yeah, like my wisdom teeth are like, you know, wanting to come out. And this was with like the x-ray nurse lady. And so I'm like thinking like, okay, you know, it's gonna be cool once these wisdoms get out, it's gonna be great, you know. Get into the office, and with literally one look, in 1.2 seconds, my doc is just like, you have Bell's palsy. Girl, literally, what are you doing here? Yeah, he was just like, yeah, Bell's palsy. We're gonna send you into the theater so that we can not only remove your Bell's palsy, but treat you for, remove your Bell's palsy, not only remove your wisdom teeth that are like coming in, but also like treat your Bell's palsy. And he was kind of like explaining that like, yeah, even though my wisdom teeth were expected to like come out anytime soon, the pain and the discomfort wasn't from that. They were going to take them out now that I was like there, you know, and we could just like kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But essentially the main problem was my Bell's palsy. And yeah, by that time I was already like droopy, okay? I was already droopy. I was admitted into the hospital, got not 4, which is what I thought was going to happen, but 6 wisdom teeth removed. And then at the same time I was also getting pumped to the brim with corticosteroids, which were to help like the Bell's palsy, help treat the Bell's palsy. And so after that, I don't know how many days I was in the hospital, maybe like 2-3 days. Guys, it was just a blur. It was a blur. I was pulled up, meds up, anesthesiaed up, corticosteroid up. It was crazy. It was a whole experience on its own. And then I came home. I think I was still taking like corticosteroids, just in like pill form, but I was taking that for like a week or so, or 2 weeks or so, something like that. And with my wisdom teeth, as you know, like I was just like recovering the normal way, just taking an antibiotic and, you know, ice packing and all of that stuff, what. But I think honestly my healing journey started when I came home. So obviously now I was homebound, bedbound. I was now having to like take care of like both illnesses, you know, and it really did feel like I was dealing with the physical one, which was like which was the wisdom teeth. Like that was like physical, I could, you know, like the swelling and all of that stuff. But then the Bell's palsy kind of felt super mental and internal, and I couldn't do much. I couldn't talk much. I couldn't eat much. I couldn't laugh much. I couldn't like do a lot of like the movement that I usually do in my life. yeah, like a lot was like cut down. Like essentially I was like bed bound or like room bound or whatever. Oh my goodness, I also started swelling up so bad from the corticosteroids. Everything was like swelling up, not just like my face from the wisdom teeth removal up, but my body from the steroids was like holding on to so much weight, water retention. So yeah, it was, oh guys, it was a lot. I do not recommend. It was a lot. It really was a lot. And I think from that entire experience, it really, because yeah, like I said, like my healing journey essentially started when I got home, and I was kind of just like, what the fuck have I like done to myself, you know? I know that's kind of like toxic or like harsh to like say, but it really, I was like a little bit upset in some ways to be like, oh my god, like I kind of caused this upon myself or brought this upon myself, obviously unintentionally, but it was kind of like jarring, and I really did resonate with this, you know, to kind of be like, I manifested this, you know. And so I was like, okay, like what now, you know, what is the lesson that we're supposed to learn here, because clearly we are. And so I'm gonna now go into how I healed myself. Again, hopefully this can help you if you are going through Bell's palsy. Definitely, like I 100 recommend everything I tried. Again, I'm not a medical professional, it's just what really worked for me. It really did resonate with me that like I felt like there was two wounds that I needed to kind of like heal, and that was like emotional one and a physical one. So the tips and tricks and the sort of things that I did, I'm gonna explain to them now, and I'm gonna give them to you. Get out your pen and paper. But yeah, they're both medical, more mainstream Western sort of like approaches that really worked, and also like natural homeopathic approaches that I found also really worked, and I still implement to this day. So let's get into it. Okay, first things first, we'll talk about the medical stuff. So like I said, so the medical stuff will obviously be more specific to you getting Bell's palsy. So it was the corticosteroids, the pain medication, to kind of like help deal with that. I went to my doctor, a specialist, and he pumped the corticosteroids in me, and that undoubtedly helped my situation. My doctor was amazing. He was a really good specialist, and I felt like he really acted on my situation with urgency. So that's what really helped. I know for some people, in Leeor, Alexandra's video, she kind of explained how the steroids that she had when she was younger, it actually made her healing process take longer. So again, like, even though it works for a lot of people, it may not work for you, or it may not be, you know, the answer, and it just like is more likely to work for a vast majority of people because there's been studies. But I don't think Western medicine is the end all be all. I don't think homeopathic approach is the end all be all. I do think it's the combination of the two that can really like ensure that you heal from the inside out, from the outside in, you know. Secondly, was I will definitely recommend an eye patch or eye drops. My doctor also recommended like facial exercises that I would do. I think you can like Google them. But yeah, this is when shit started becoming a bit more mental, psychological for me as well, because now I was starting to work with my muscles and my internal state, and starting to heal myself from the inside out. So there's a lot of research when it comes to CBD, and especially like full spectrum CBD and the cannabinoids, and healing a lot of, or like restoring nerve damage and stuff like that. Definitely do your own research. I did a lot of my own research, and I really think that like sped up my healing process a lot. It also helped with manage my pain. It also helped manage my my sleep and all of that stuff. So that really helped. quite expensive, quite pricey, I'll say, but it was definitely worth it. I also drank, which I still drink to this very day, turmeric tea. So basically it was like a cup of water, warm water, and lemon or lemon juice and turmeric, kind of like almost half a teaspoon, you know, just enough to kind of like taste it and color the tea. And I would drink that multiple times a day. And turmeric is known to have a lot of like anti-inflammatory properties, so that was really good for me. I wasn't eating a lot of like jungle bullshit, I guess, because I couldn't necessarily like choose, so I will say I think that did like kind of like help with everything, because yeah, I was kind of just eating really like soft foods, healthy soups, scrambled eggs. Speaking of diets, I'd also introduced B12 into my diet, which was kind of like, bitch, like how could you, you know, like I'm literally vegetarian, I've been vegetarian for forever, but I thought I could do without B12, and no you can't, baby girl, no you can't. Please take your B12, please take your B12. B12 I think is very good for also like neural nerve, it helps keep your body's blood and nerve cells healthy. Okay, so that was very important. I started, oh, as if it was like Parmesan cheese, I literally just started like throwing it in everything. So that was definitely something diet-wise I did. Physically, I was not active at all. My blood pressure was also just like going through the ringer. I was feeling quite lightheaded and dizzy quite a lot of the time. So you're even just like doing inversions or like folding forwards or whatever with yoga, which I do all the time and love to do, was really difficult for me. I would just get the most insane head rush if I'd like lift my head or like turn or just do anything. So that was really tough for me. But what I did do was lymphatic drainage massages, and this was all for like a month, you know. I really like stuck to all of this, especially like under my armpits, over here and by your groin. I would do that quite like often and frequently. Coming outside, getting some sunlight, that vitamin D was crucial. So yeah, those are kind of like the physical things I kind of like did, you know, and it really did help with my overall health, and are still things that I do to this very day. But now more on like the internal stuff, right? So that was way more physical, like physical things that I actually did that helped me. I also did a lot of like emotional and internal work at this time. So definitely I would recommend, if you are going through a traumatic or stressful time in your life, therapy or a therapist, psychologist, whatever, are really helpful during these times. Maybe just to kind of like process and understand like what you're going through, or just having someone to speak to. I definitely had a very supportive system with my family and friends, but personally I also wanted to kind of like set up a sort of system with myself as well. And so first things first, on the emotional plane, I kind of surrendered and accepted. I mean, I was definitely miserable. I was definitely in shock and then miserable as to like what was going on with me, like ashamed and why me and all of this stuff. But I think, okay, you do that and then what, you know? I think the next step for me was to kind of accept my situation and accept that, yeah, like I'd manifested an illness in my life through my actions. And acceptance was really what like kind of started this whole thing, you know, accepting that I was going to have to do this, accepting that I do kind of struggle with stress and that I have to learn, you know, healthier coping mechanisms to deal with it so that this doesn't happen in my life. Yeah, just like taking responsibility and ownership of my situation. I think that's a really good first step, you know, accepting where you are and accepting that you have to change, or that things have to change. And I think acceptance is like the catalyst in many things changing. So yeah, definitely acceptance. Having a routine really grounded me, even though I was doing literally Not much, literally not much, but healing. Ritualizing things. So I made sure I woke up at 7 and went to bed by 11, and you know, in the morning I'd wake up and I'd meditate as well. We'll get into that, but I had my whole meditation ritual going on, and then I'd make my tea, I'd come outside, I'd get fresh air, I'd, you know, mentally do my affirmations, and then I'd go shower, I'd practice my face muscle movements, have breakfast, take my medication. I even remember it now because it was so regimented, and it made me, it felt like I had a purpose, and it made, you know, all the pill fatigue it made the pill taking fatigue and, you know, the whole process much more easier. Having a routine grounds you. It eliminates so much stress, because I feel like you're not just like wandering your house from room to room being like, what is happening? Also just like sitting in your room and just feeling like time is like all warped and weird. And yeah, it gave me something to do, and it gave me a sense of like structure. So I definitely feel like that even today. Like when I feel like I am going a bit insane, I'm like, okay, but do you have a routine? Like, do you have a routine? Why are you so confused? Do you have a routine? And usually that's the first thing within me, is like, I don't have a routine, or something's a bit off with my routine. So yeah, and once I had a routine, I was able to implement all of those like habits within the routine. You know, without a routine, it's almost like you have so much to do or so little to do. But if you have a routine, you can kind of like structure it and be like, okay, within this chunk of the morning I'm going to do this, and in the afternoon I'm going to do this, and at night I'm going to do this. So kudos to a routine. I know it's like oversaid and overdone, but it really works. My morning meditation, guys, I can be a monk, okay? I can genuinely be a monk sometimes, but like yeah, I was like, okay, well, we can't do my yoga, we can't go on walks without feeling like we're gonna fucking pass out in the heat, in this physical state I was in. We can't literally do anything, so what now? So the form of like mindfulness that I was doing at that time was like a morning meditation. I'd literally wake up and I would just like meditate, and yeah, some days it was just to like clear my mind, but a lot of the times it was kind of like a visualization technique. And I genuinely, on God, I would literally visualize my face, like the muscles in my face kind of like releasing intention, you know, and kind of like just like this warm energy and light just like flowing in, literally in the morning, 7 to 10 minutes. And yeah, I was done. That was literally it. Like, I was done. And then obviously throughout the day, I'm a big affirmation, law of assumption, mindfulness type of person. So when I was, you know, in moments of mindfulness, whether it be during meditation or I was just like outside lying, I would kind of like think about my thoughts and think good about myself and wish good about myself, you know, tell myself I'm gonna heal, this is okay. And also, I mean, I was kind of going through a bit of like body dysmorphia, because my face was like changing and swollen and big, and my body was puffy from the steroids one day, and then the next it literally, like, it felt like I'd literally lost half my body weight. So yeah, just reaffirming myself and my self-esteem and all of these things really helped. And you could say it didn't help, whatever. I think it is subject to whether you not believe it or not, but I think we know the power of your words and your thoughts, and where your mind goes is where energy will flow. So I'm just saying that because it's genuinely what I did, and I will attribute that to me healing in the end. What else? Next was breathwork. I did this a few times. No, I actually think I did this a lot of times. Because so this is also kind of leading to the spiritual stuff, but I felt like my entire throat chakra was fucking blocked. I I had like a very shaky voice, and it felt like I wanted to cry all the time. Like that's what my voice felt like, even though I didn't want to cry or anything, but it was so hard to speak with clarity, and like to speak like this, to speak strongly and powerfully. And I think it was, again, like all of those stresses I mentioned in the beginning, going through a breakup and feeling insecure about my relationship with school and exams and all of that stuff. It definitely manifested here. It definitely just manifested all over here, and I felt stuck, and it felt trapped, and so doing breath work, it felt like I was just like releasing. Definitely really helped. A lot of the stuff is woo-woo, okay, but I think as well there's a lot of like scientific literature that's coming out to show the benefits of breathing, breath techniques, breath work, meditation, affirmation, all of these things. So yeah, that really helped me. The second to last thing I did was I did a lot of self-inquiry. So yeah, like I kind of was like, okay, well, I have all of these problems. Why and what now? Journaling, writing, thinking about all these things that I'd kind of like suppressed and pushed down and put on hold and felt stuck in, but was not kind of like dealing with. And so yeah, I did kind of like have to kind of like sift through my emotions. That as well, that really did just like release so much of what I was feeling and what I felt like was just like pent up inside of me. So I would recommend that, and I think it gave me a sense of being like, okay, if this happens again, I know what to do, and I know like what it's likely stemming from, because again, these feelings that I was like only now dealing with, they were there all along. I just didn't want to deal with it, and I think that also put that into perspective. So yeah, I mean, you're bed bound so might as well start journaling, might as well look at the things that are kind of like that you've been suppressing, and maybe think like, maybe it's not just all physical, maybe there are some internal states of being that are perpetuating specific behaviors and thought patterns and thinking and all of those things. The last was getting a hobby. So this one's a bit like girl, but having something to look forward to. This specifically applied for me because I needed to kind of like remind myself of my passions, my interests, what I liked, and that there is more to life than just stress essentially. Like just like uncovering parts of myself that I had forgotten or suppressed, if it weren't for the whole Bell's palsy situation, I wouldn't have started this YouTube, on God, literally on God, because it was during that time where I really felt called to like share what I was experiencing with someone and have a community and share my thoughts, and kind of like not just do things in vain, but like, yeah, share my story, share my experience, hopefully help people and provide you guys with some sort of informational, educational, entertainment value, so that was like my little passion projects and stuff, doing my makeup and practicing my makeup, and writing as well, being creative. Definitely getting a hobby kind of like also takes your mind off of things. I don't know if I would have started this channel or not had I not gone through that, because that was when I was starting to really think about it and really beginning to manifest this into my life, because I was feeling like kind of like aimless and a bit lost. Yeah, I mean, I think in general I was kind of like leading a healthier life. I also, one thing that I made a decision during that time was to not consume any alcohol anymore. I since haven't, and it's what now, August, so I don't know if that like helped with the whole healing process, but I just wanted to like mention that because it was something that I really did change. Just because as well, like I just started reading up about alcohol and the effect it has on your body and your immune system and all of these things, and I really just wanted to make the decision was to heal and to cut out all bullshit that was getting in the way of that. So almost 7 months later, we are here. I'm here in front of you. I'm here to say that I'm doing really well, and at least much better than I was when it comes to stress. I mean, I'm still a little stress ball. I'm still an anxious little bitch sometimes, and it's a journey, definitely. There's ups and downs, but I am kind of in a weird way glad that I did go through what I went through, especially looking back now, because the things that I learned, the insights that I had, the tips and tricks that I gained, all of that stuff is truly invaluable, because it has helped me a lot and continues to help me a lot in my day-to-day life. And yeah, I mean, what is the purpose of all of this? I mean, if you're like me, I'm sure the purpose of all of this is not to be a perfect person, you know. It's not to be stress-free, but you're going to have stress, you know. There's no such thing as a stress-free lifestyle. There is going to be stress. Life throws things at you. Things happen in life, you know, not to like spite you, but to teach you things. But I think it is about how you deal with things, which shows the type of person that you are. And so yeah, like whether I am I don't even know a good example, because I don't think I have been that, that's not true. I've definitely had moments this year where I've been really, really, really stressed, and I kind of, because again, like the problem in the beginning was not feeling them. I first feel it, purge those feelings, I vent, I rant them out, I express them in whatever way feels comfortable and natural, but I express them nonetheless. And then I go to these habits, you know, I go to these routines and these things that I know for a fact worked. So also another takeaway could be, if you are going through a stressful time, experiment, you know, try things and stick to them. I mean, I did them throughout November, throughout December, January, and I'm still doing them to this day, and I can physically see they work. So yeah, like try things that you resonate with or that make sense to you. Like for me, again, it wasn't just like the medical stuff, it was like the homeopathic stuff, you know, having this approach to holistic health that really inspired me and that resonated with me. And so the way I manage stress is very like unique to me and to my experience and to my resources and to all of these things. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of nuances to this, but I think a takeaway is that you can, like, if you're currently dealing with stress, you can get through this with a little bit of help, you know, here and there. Anything is possible, you know. I think you are more powerful than you think you are. We are more powerful than we think we are. It does take just a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, but you will get there. And by New Year's and by Christmas, I was already, like, to the eye, you could not see a difference. Like I looked pretty back to normal. It was just like minute things. I remember like the last thing to kind of come back to life was this part of my face, like my cheek and my eye also did kind of like take some time to kind of like heal. But yeah, those facial exercises, you are so serious about them. Yeah, yo guys, remain hopeful that you will heal. Believe that it's possible that you will heal if you're suffering from an illness, but also believe it's possible that you will be able to take a hold of your mental health if you are struggling with it, or you will be able to one day be able to like manage your stress if that's what you're struggling with as well. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say today. I mean, this is a video I've been wanting to film since last year already, when I'd gotten all of this and I started realizing that all of this shit was working. I I was like, oh my god, I want to just like tell people this so badly. And so this is kind of like a very big time full circle moment, and it makes me feel really happy that like when I heal and when I go through things and when I experience things and when I learn things and I get through them, it's not just like it's not all in vain, and it's not just for me. It feels as though it's also for people, you know, for my community, for you guys, and that it's worthwhile, and that I'm going through it so that I can learn something and therefore share it with other people. So that's really nice and really comforting at the darkest of times. So yeah, if you have made it this far, thank you for watching, and also let me know if you like videos of this, if videos like this are very helpful, because yeah, I really do enjoy not only making these videos, but just like mining my life for useful information for the public, for you guys. It really is, like I said, fulfilling, and I enjoy doing it. And yeah, share this video with a friend if you know of someone who's going through something like this. I'm wishing you a lovely rest of the week. I love you guys so much. I'll hopefully see you very soon in the next video, and yeah, thank you for watching.